Hi everybody, it's RPG Grandma with Warriors of Mars continued. Aerial combat. We're now moving on to the fire section. Fire will depend on which movement system is used. If the simultaneous movement system is employed, all fire will come at the end of the turn. If the move counter move system is used, there will be an exchange of fire after each player has moved. Method of fire. Flyers will fire at opponents most similar to their class, firing at the nearest target first, however. Concentrations of fire, several ships on one enemy, must be ordered the previous turn. After targets are designated, fire will be taken one gun at a time, players rolling the dice and consulting the fire table flyers found at the end of the booklet. If using large number of ships, roll for each broadside. Damage scored will be recorded. And when all fire is over, movement will again commence unless any boarding actions are to take place. See following rules: grappling and boarding. Elevation and depression of guns. Type of gun: maximum elevation, maximum depression. So a rapid fire gun, its maximum elevation is 90 degrees. Its maximum depression is 15 degrees. A medium gun, maximum elevation is 60 degrees. Maximum depression is 30 degrees. Heavy gun, maximum elevation is 45 degrees. Maximum depression is 15 degrees. 90-degree elevation, 0-degree depression for ground-sitted guns. So they're saying you can have ground guns like this. 75-degree elevation, 0-degree depression for ground-sitted gun. Okay, so the 90-degree one is for a medium gun on the ground, and the 75-degree note is for a heavy gun on the ground. Okay. Damage. Damage scored by hits depends on the type of gun fired and is modified by the possibility of critical hits. Critical hits as early as 1974. Yes, so a lot of things in this little book, isn't there? Basic damage. Hit by gun type and points of damage done. So a radium rifle does 1 point of damage. A rapid fire gun does 5. A medium gun does 30, and a heavy gun does a whopping 150. Damage effects: 25% damage, speed down by 1 inch. 50% damage, speed down by 2.5 inches, ceiling down to a maximum of 2 inches. So it's just, you're getting close to the ground and you can't go up any higher than 2. 75% damage, speed 1 inch is your maximum speed, ceiling maximum is 1 inch. 90 degrees damage, ship powerless, adrift at 100-foot altitude. 100% damage, ship explodes, burns and crashes. Critical hits. Critical hits will affect damage. The table for 3 types of hits is shown with the firing table, hit location table, etc. at the back of the booklet. Effects of critical hits are as follows. Double or triple damage. Simply multiply damage points accordingly. Engine hits. Totally destroys engines, thus making the flyer powerless to do other than descend by means of its buoyancy tanks. Although the flyer may still fire normally, it cannot turn nor move other than to descend. Propeller hits. Destroy the propellers and cause the flyer to act as if it were powerless, like the engine hit, for 6 turns. Thereafter, it is assumed that propellers are replaced and normal movement may resume. Ray tank hits. affects buoyancy and causes the flyer to go down at the bow by 15 degrees, stern by 15 degrees. Or if a midship buoyancy tank is hit, to lose 1 inch from maximum altitude ceiling. If a flyer is at a pitch of 30 degrees, bow or stern, it must be abandoned as inoperable. Steering hits cause an immediate and permanent loss of the ability to control the flyer normally, although vessels larger than scout cruisers can steer by variance of the propeller's pitch and speed, allowing turns up to 15 degrees, but preventing the circular maneuver by such flyers. Critical hits always cause normal damage to a ship in addition to their other effects. Although this does not mean that 2 times damage scores 3 times normal damage, for instance. Ramming and collision. A purposeful ramming or an accidental collision have virtually the same effect. Flyers moving at the same altitude, which come together at a relative speed of 1 inch or greater, fall into either of these 2 categories. To compute damage, simply compute the relative speed of impact. 2 ships traveling at 5 inches each, which collide bow on, meet at 10 inches for every 1 inch of relative speed. The lighter of the 2 vessels takes 10% damage, and the heavier the same amount. In addition, roll on the critical hit table, ignoring results which call for additional damage. No critical type, but damage results, but using all others. For the lighter of the 2 flyers, if both are the same class, roll for both. Example, a light cruiser accidentally collides with a cruiser. The light cruiser is moving perpendicular to the cruiser at 6 inches that turn. So it takes 60% damage, or 300 damage points, and the cruiser also takes 300 damage points. In addition, the light cruiser must roll on the critical hit table, ignoring the roll if a 5 or 6 comes up, as this roll indicates additional damage. I'll give you an example even. So that's how you do that. Okay. I think we'll do grappling in the next video, and we'll probably move into boarding. And then that gets us eventually to melee. And then we have bombing flyers. Ooh. What other fun things they got in here? Air to ground combat. And ground to air fire. Bombing ground targets. All kinds of good stuff. Probably that's going to be several videos to get to that point. And then we will get to the series on personality figures and Barsoomian races and animals. So we are getting through this, and then I'm going to have to make also videos of charts. I know you guys are going to want to see charts. And then I'll have to start figuring out how to go, film the rules in action. So you have a visual to help you, and go from there. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. Hope you're finding it interesting. I know it's a lot of rules, really, really riveting stuff. But it is kind of really interesting to see what has been worked up here. Anyway, everybody have a great day, and I hope your day is going awesome. Bye.